All right, guys. Excited to have this panel with you guys. So just a brief introduction. I'm Puke. I represent Pukecast, Rock Radio, Decrypt. And today is going to be an exciting conversation with you guys. I feel like it's really cold, so we're going to get some spicy questions in as well. Before we get started, maybe you could just pass over to Dom. Slight introduction, what you do, why are you here?
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Dominic Jang. I am Chief Business Officer and Vice President for MapleStory Universe and Nexpace Limited. Nexpace Limited is a company under Nexon Group based in Abu Dhabi, driving all the blockchain initiatives and also the publishing company for the MapleStory Universe, our blockchain project. So we're trying to onboard MapleStory IP on top of a blockchain. Using the blockchain technology, we're trying to reshape and redefine the game design and the business model of the gaming businesses in general. And thanks to the technology, I think we are making a lot of innovations, exciting innovations. So yeah, let's get started.
All right, got it. David, how about you?
Hi everyone, I'm David Mack from Hong Kong. Our company is Pluto Studio and also Callison. I'm the CEO and co-founder. Our company actually started less than a year ago. We're a company focused on migrating Web2 games into the Web3 space. And one of our biggest success this year is actually quite an amazing journey. Our first game, Callison, has accumulated as of today, actually has just reached 46 million users, and mainly on Telegram, on the Ton blockchain, but we are moving on. We'll also be publishing and developing games on also other chains, for example, Kaya on the Line Messenger. We also has done our first TGE for our Callison game called the Caddy token. It's now an ecosystem token because we have evolved our game into actually a game center, mini app center as well. Already we have 20 games and apps on our game center, and on our lineup, on our pipeline, we already have other hundreds of games coming up next year. So that's it for now.
Got it. Alex.
Hi everyone, good to see this area filled with people. My name is Alex. I'm currently leading the gaming vertical as well as the NFT vertical, and I'm in charge of everything related to Korea as I'm based in Seoul. LayerZero, I think most people may know us as the bridging service. To be precise, Stargate is the largest bridging service out there that is built on our interoperable messaging protocol. So LayerZero basically enables seamless communication across 100+ blockchains that we support. Some of the technical solutions that we provide for our chain partners and gaming developers include something called Omnichain FT, which is a token standard that is the largest next to the ERC20. So we secure about $51 billion worth of tokens. Just for some context, all the tokens that are deployed on Layer 2s combined is around 56 billion. So the OFT standard is really trying to get rid of the liquidity fragmentation across the space. Just some of the credentials that we've gathered so far include working with Web2 innovators like Google, or we just issued stablecoin with PayPal, the PYUSD. In the Web3 front, we work with some of the innovators in the space like Uniswap or Ethena. Super happy to be here as APAC region, and the gaming vertical is not only just my focus, but also I think that's what APAC is really, really strong at. So happy to talk about how we can elevate the quality of Web3 gaming altogether.
Got it. I'll start with Alex first, right? You mentioned a little bit about seamless. So how is LayerZero right now making Web3 games seamless? And do you think the major flaw of Web3 game right now is like not good UI UX?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most basic level of the cross-chain usage when it comes to bridging or interoperability solution is value transfer. About 75 to 80% of all messaging that happens cross-chain is kind of like the currency exchange, right? So if you have some tokens on Aptos, how can you move that across Arbitrum, Sui, Ton, so on and so forth? But something that I'm particularly excited about in terms of sort of making this game space more seamless is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with a Web2 automation service called IFTTT, if this, then that. So how can we make in the Web3 space, imagine a player unlocking some sort of a milestone on game A built on chain A, and by the player unlocking that milestone, some form or shape of a yield booster or access to a high yield DeFi product is instantly accessible on chain B. I think that kind of the automation and the cross-chain activity is absolutely necessary in order to truly harness the power of the blockchain space, and that's really what LayerZero is about.
Got it. I think I like it that you mentioned IFTT. I use it myself, quite familiar. And I think one thing is like, when you go out, there's tons of games, all different blockchains. How can we make all of the experience seamless, right? So the question is, do we need to build games in terms of multi-chains? Or is it, core focus of, one game at one blockchain and people select the game based on what blockchain they like? What's your take on this?
Yeah, so the whole idea behind either omnichain FT or omnichain NFT is LayerZero as a protocol is truly agnostic to where you start your journey, right? So let's say your game is built on Avalanche or Ton, or it's even pre-TGE and you're trying to think about a specific chain that you're going to be built off of, we can be there to help so that when you either first mint your tokens or after you mint your tokens, you're trying to go to multi-chain, we can turn that into OFT or ONFT standard so that they can start talking to 100 plus other blockchains that we have, right? So what this means, just with a super quick example in the ONFT or what's called LZ read, is that let's say you own an NFT on game A, can we activate things like staking, lending, that particular NFT on a completely different chain that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do anything off of, right? So the whole concept is that gamers should focus on playing the game, and then in the back end, all of the monetization and the financial rewards are being played due to these cross-chain activities.
All right, thank you for that. Next, I'll pass it over to David. I think one thing that you mentioned about is, how many players you are able to get via, building games on Ton blockchain. And I realized that, user behavior in Web2 and Web3 is totally different when it approach to game. Do you think that, whatever you guys are building in terms of, shipping out 20 different games and stuff like that, you are able to kind of like, cater for both Web2 and Web3 people?
I want to sound simple, but it's not as simple as I wanted to explain. I think regardless of whether a product or a game, whether it's Web2 or Web3, it is the core product itself is very important. Not just the gameplay, not just the graphics and things like that, but the whole package of how it's being delivered. I love what Alex just mentioned about cross-chain and things like that. We talk about that kind of experiences a lot, actually within our team, because we are not just one single game developer or studio. We publish different games for different companies.
We should work together then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes when we say seamless, right, it's never seamless. As far as the technology is concerned, you can make it as simple as possible, but it's never seamless. There are certain steps that you need to go through. So when we do whatever, like Web2 games or Web3 games, we always think about what the first 30 seconds of experience is like when they use it, regardless whether it's on Telegram, now maybe in the next quarter online, Messenger through the 9Next Kaya chain. So the first 30 seconds, you have to engage the user to stay there and to teach them enough. Now Web3 is a little bit different because besides of teaching them how to go on playing the games, getting points, getting all the stuff that they want, the skins and things like that, you also need to teach them how to connect to the wallet. We did quite well for past 8 or 9 months through Ton and Telegram because of the how easy it is. I wouldn't say seamless. How relatively easy it is to connect, because some of the users, we can see that they actually set up their wallets for the first time. And then to be able to keep them on track as well as not lose them is our next big challenge, right? That's why Callison evolved into not just one single game, but a game center. So we can cross over different game genres. We have, first-person shooting games like tower defense and puzzles and all different kinds of games. So users with different appetites can, crossovers and relate to each other, and then sort of, if not trade the token on the exchanges, we don't want. Well, actually, it's funny. We don't want them to trade too much. We want them to use it as much as possible, more like a currency, to keep the ball game rolling. That's basically, what we are trying to do. And we are still in the process. I wouldn't say we are, 100% successful. We're still on a journey of trying to do better every single day. And our next game going forward, the next biggest game on our game center, Bombi, I think you guys can see the booth right during this event. We already accumulated 7 million users, and which is quite impressive as well. So we're looking forward for doing more airdrops, and also there will be a TGE for Bombi in the next quarter as well. Am I going off track of what you asked? I'm sorry, man. I always do that, right?
Yeah, no, don't worry. I think one interesting fact you mentioned is that your new game that you're shipping out have 7 million users, and I think one interesting thing is that when you attract all of these users coming in, what are some of like the Web2 initiative you get to onboard people? Because I don't think there are 7 million Web3 users that plays game. So I feel like majority of it comes from Web2, or people maybe sharing on Telegram, word of mouth and stuff like that. So is there any incentive mechanism behind that encourages people to do certain action to get their friends to come in?
I think people who know us well knows that we do a lot of crossover. I call it crossover marketing. I'm not a very technical Web3 kind of. I come from a traditional finance and things like that. We have affiliations and collaborations with different game companies, as well as one thing worth mentioning too is on Callison, actually we developed also the launch pool, which we would bring in projects that are non-gaming, and then they can introduce their projects and put caddy token to be staked, and then get some airdrops of the new project. So we do a lot of these kind of crossover marketing, as well as I believe I was talking to someone else earlier today too about what we can do, not just on the digital space, but also physical. I was talking to one of my colleagues who is also involved in doing a virtual idol project in Hong Kong, similar to what J-pop or Japanese market is doing. And one of the major growth engine and profit engine is actually physical products. So being able to cross over, use whatever tools that you have, and try not to think. Well, I, at least myself, try not to think too much Web3. I just, try to think any common user or game players would be engaged. And so usually, within our company, we talk a lot of different kinds of ideas. I'm going to just go on. It's bad, so take over.
All right, got it. Next up, Dom. I think one interesting fact is that, a lot of like good Web2 IP games are coming into the space right now, and the majority of them, thinks on how we could gamify the whole experience to just not make it Web2, but make it Web3 friendly as well. So maybe you could share a little bit of, the mindset when you guys come into the space. What is the experience that you want to give out people so it's catered for both of the Web2 and Web3 folks?
Right. So just a bit of a, untold history about our project is that Nexon didn't start this project because we wanted to do something with Web3. It was a very fundamental consideration and strategic review at the top level, top management level. And we knew the free-to-play live operations model that Nexon has been growing for over 30 years with over 20-digit CAGR is not sustainable. That was our conclusion. But in the meantime, even in the very popular games in the West like Fortnite, WoW, World of Warcraft, they're all changing their business model into the free-to-play and live operations model. But we knew from our own history of 20 years of running MapleStory that this is not sustainable. So while we were trying to revisit the business model that we have grown upon, we realized that it is important to, make the business more sustainable. And then we found that blockchain and tokens or NFTs are the technologies that we could rely on. That's how MapleStory Universe has started. So our target audience is not just Web3 users. I mean, I don't even know who they are. I don't know how to define them. It's too broad. So we have actually, categorized the user base or types of users into more detailed categories. They could be, traditional Web2 passionate gamers. And even this category can be categorized into subcategories. There are like pure enjoyers of games, like they enjoy arts. Or there are grinders who would play MMORPG all day, all night, and sell the heck out of their items and characters and monetize. There are also gamers, but they're two different animals. So, and even other people like watchers. Just like Twitch opened up the whole new market of watching game market. Those are also the people who enjoy the game. And we started this project because we wanted to expand the MapleStory IP, who has been live and long loved for over 20 years. So we are creating not just a game, we're creating the ecosystem where all different kinds of people can come to our ecosystem and enjoy in their own way. So if they want to play the game, they can play the game. If they want to trade the items, they can trade the items. If they want to, buy NFT and, enhance it and sell it at a higher price, they can do that. If they want to trade tokens, if they want to bet on something, they can do that. We're letting every one of those players who enjoy the IP in their own way to come to our ecosystem, do their own thing. And they are contributing to our entire ecosystem by doing their parts. They could do more than one thing, of course. So that's our approach. And we are very much approaching different types of, clients, depending on what incentivizes them. So it is a very complex strategies that we're trying to, execute. So, and it is very detailed approach is actually needed if you really want to build, an ecosystem where you want to start the actual mass adoption.
Yep. And I've been following through, in terms of you guys allowing people to mint, how the character looks like. And then now the testing or the gameplay is starting to get people play. How has it been so far since you guys announced yourself, that you're going to build on AVAX and then, doing different types of campaigns slowly from NFT to beta testing and stuff like that?
Sorry, your question is?
So how is the outcome so far?
Yeah. So so far we have generated 400,000 actual wallets who are actively playing the game. So it's very promising because we're still in beta test, right? So and also generated about double-digit millions. I can't really think of the actual numbers, but so there are lots of tractions, even while we are testing. and the huge amount of excitements and compliments that we are getting from the industry leaders about how seamless the UX is and how fun actual the game is. So it's very positive, and we are actually engaging more actively with the community, regarding every small details from their feedback.
All right, got it. Back to Alex. I think one question I asked you is like, this year everybody's talking about, meme super cycle. Do you think when will gaming super cycle happens?
Starting today. I'm just kidding. I think whenever I hear the word super cycle and associate with meme, it has this extremely ephemeral, degenerate connotation, which I actually don't want to associate with gaming. And with this, I want to sort of go back to the first principle thinking of, I guess the question of the panel, like why Web3 and gaming, as well as what both of you said. I think to sort of face the reality, I certainly get a lot of questions about like why does the blockchain matter in the gaming space, and it goes back to one, it certainly helps players monetize much easier, faster, and hopefully a secure way for the contribution they make, whether it's playtime, in-app purchases, or content creation. Second, it enables a true form of digital ownership, in the form of NFT, whether that's through a secondary market. David, you mentioned collectives. Digital collectives, I think alone last year was worth about $142 billion industry, but it still faces a whole host of structural barriers due to some publishing models, limited secondary markets, all of which can be unlocked through the power of blockchain. And I think I mentioned this because that is, for me, the first principle thinking that I always go back to whenever I hear about like the gaming cycle, not talking about like, what's our performance for all these gaming tokens, because I think the results should speak for itself. So as a result, I think all this is to say is that next year I'm particularly excited, as I think it's going to be a breakpoint for both of the AAA already popular IPs now turned into Web3 games, but also some extremely innovative Web3 native game projects like Catizen to make significant milestones, particularly in the APAC region, starting next year. And again, LayerZero wants to be sort of the main actor in co-creating these case studies and use cases by utilizing this cross-chain or omni-chain, both token FTs and NFTs next year.
Got it. And just to, one final question for you is like, this year, what would be your highlight for Web3 gaming?
This year or 2025?
This year.
For me, is the fact that I joined LayerZero. It's been a little over 2 months. It's been wonderful to see a whole host of builders and the gaming chains and infrastructure partners that really believe in this omni-chain vision as a way to, again, unlock this massive industry altogether. So for me, that's the highlight. If I can mention just one more thing, is a lot of conversations around next year's planning for a lot of this, again, AAAs and the Web3 native game projects that are extremely excited to finally launch. I know we have this Q5 meme and joke going around, but I think next year we're definitely going to see the games that are actually playable, where you can monetize and claim the true ownership for all of your digital assets.
Got it. Thank you. And back to David. I think Alex mentioned briefly about in-app purchases, and I feel like that is one strong point because like when you look at projects that is building out in Web3, community will be always the core focus, right? There's so many incentive or even communication directly to the project founder. But then when you come and compare it to Web2, the whole model of it is different. So do you think like in the future, Web3 gaming will heavily rely on just like community building aspect, or is there more verticals to kind of like build up the game from, ground roots?
It's always community-centric, if you ask me. Even if it's a Web2 gaming, it's just monetized differently. Or there's a saying, right? If you take care of your top line, the bottom line would follow, right? So you always need to think about your users, your players. And being a gaming company and publisher, we always focus on our community. Our team actually composed of members from previous experience, some mobile gaming, even Facebook game, back to Facebook game years, publishers. But community is always what we looked at. And the beauty of transforming these users or transferring them into the Web3 space is that we can incentivize them more, put them in charge in a way, but then we are just helping them to do it faster. And especially when we are doing mini games, we looked at time to market as I would say one of our biggest priority, to be able to create mini games or smaller size, experiences, games that to be across different demographics. Because when we actually look at our users, our different games, they have different users actually. So when I talk about we have 46 million users on Cadison, and now they're moving on to the next game, Bombi, and the other games going forward, which are on our pipeline. We see different demographics, players from different countries and different age group and things like that. So yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, yes, community-centric is the way to go. That's the way we see it.
Got it. And what excites you for next year?
Wow. We are actually, besides games, we are actually looking at different spaces, but also on Web3 platforms, either on mainly on Telegram or other chains. One of which is short dramas. I was actually talking earlier that inside Cadison game, that's the launch pool. One of the two projects that we put in our launch pool, one of them is Circuit, which is a knowledge-zero DeFi ecosystem. The other one is actually a project called Ruse, ROLZ. It's actually a anime short drama project that we have partnership with, and from that we can see that the dynamics of the community, going back to the people who play games and can actually engage into other spaces in the Web3 ecosystem. For example, short dramas. We also look at e-commerce. So next year, I think our team, as well as myself, will be even more busy. And
you're building a beast, bro.
Yeah. So next time to sleep, but I'm still happy and hype and yeah.
All right, got it. I think we talk a little bit about gaming super cycle. We talk about community. I think the next question for you, Dom, is obviously, when I was a kid, I always, go to 7-Eleven, line up, buy the cards, scratch it, and then spend all my money, my lunch money on MapleStory, right? But now, thank you, yeah. But now when, the game comes into Web3, it's not just user spending, but, we have the mindset of like, how can we earn back, rewards from the game itself? So how you guys plan to handle that?
Right. In the MapleStory experience in general, the most important one is the reward experience, as we defined, meaning the items that you get by killing the boss monsters. It's such an excitement that MapleStory can provide within the game, and we have designed the tokenomics and the game economy in a way that maximizes that reward experience. So we're using the blockchain layer of technology in order to maintain the value of items as much as possible. And around those core assets of MapleStory universe, there will be more than just a game that people could do. There will be lots of synergy apps that different kinds of users that I mentioned can play around the core assets, not just by playing the game, but also by doing other activities. Their reward experience will be guaranteed within our game, within our ecosystem, for example. So incentive rewards are at the core of our ecosystem, and also we are inviting builders, creators, different kinds of community members into our ecosystem, and we have designed the tokenomics where much portion of our token is rewarded to those people who contribute to our ecosystem. For example, like yourself, if you are like doing a podcast where can pour users into our ecosystem, you can also be rewarded with our token, for example. That kind of mechanism also exists as well. So we are aware of the core vision of our project is with the community and with the contributors, and reward experience is at the core of our project.
All right, got it. And what excites you next year? And also, how stressed are you for 2025?
Next year is going to be a huge year for everyone, I guess, in the space. Maybe like stepping back to see the broader macro view. We are all aware of what's happening in the US, the biggest market in any sector in the world. Political change is going to open up a lot of doors to our industry. Not just the broader level of liquidity, it's just too easy, but more importantly, regulatory clarity is going to change a lot of different things. Even for a project like us, we have to be very much aware of how regulation is developing in key regions. And that kind of clarity is going to unlock new users, and not just gaming. Gaming will definitely have a broader trickle-down effect due to such changes. And basically regulatory clarity and general perception of the technology and the industry is going to onboard next millions, more billions of users who will make their wallets for the first time. And they're not just going to be using Uniswap. They're going to be doing a lot of different things, including games. So that's what excites me the most, actually.
All right, guys, I think this is a wrap. Shout out to Alex, David, and also Dom for doing this panel with me. Thank you.
Thanks
And
for having
also
us.
shout out to you, Pukerainbow, for moderating the panel. Let's give our panelists and moderator a round of applause.